It's officially the off season, and y'all have a lot to say about what happened this season, what may happen coming up, and what you want to happen with the Nashville Predators. This is Mailbag Monday.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Williams. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. If you know, you know. Today's Mailbag Monday on the Locked On Predators podcast, we chat about the end of the regular season and the beginning of the offseason. What went wrong? What could have gone right? And what does this team realistically and I'll say it unrealistically need to do here? We're going through a lot of questions today, a lot of names popping up a lot of times here, but it's okay. We love our regulars here on the Locked On Predators podcast and Mailbag Monday. So we'll jump right into it. We're going to be talking about the 2025-2026 season first. Then we're going to be talking about the off season and what y'all have to think of all of that. And then finally, we'll talk about the prospects at the end. And man, we got a lot of prospect questions. Makes sense considering the way this year went, the season ended. It's good to look forward to the future and just want some consistency, but we'll waste no time and we'll jump into it right now. This is a long one from our boy. We'll be hearing from him a lot today, but we love it. Vision 9X. Hope you're doing well. Now that our season is over, here are all my what if takes, and I'll kind of speed run this a little bit. We got what if we drafted Martin Hagens over Martin. I'll get to that later. I have opinions on that. What if Stamkos didn't have the slow start? That very much a what if part of it. If he had gotten out of the gate better, this team probably would have been in a better position. He probably would have put up, I don't know how many 50-plus goal seasons he's had in his career, but that would likelihood have been another one. He was less than 10 off from a 50-goal season here. What if Yossi wasn't injured at the start of the season? I don't know of how much. I mean, this team did miss the playoffs by a very small margin, but I mean, he did offer a lot in the flexibility of his game, and he would have been able to mesh with Haig a little bit more there. I know that was a big part of the early season. They both talked about just this was a combination that was supposed to be big at the beginning part of the year, and it just didn't go because both of them were injured in offsetting time. So, I mean, yeah, that's another big one to what if, and I think you could have gotten a lot more out of Roman Yossi at the time if he hadn't been injured there. What if the Preds weren't dead last in the league for a month long? The season's so long. I think that one's a little bit more. I mean, you've seen I don't know how much of an excuse that is because the Blues were dead last in January of 2019 and they ended up winning the Cup that year. And we've seen a lot of teams do turnarounds like that as well. So, I mean, that is something that teams do start off the year slow and then they do have a little bit more of a jump up here. But I mean, I don't want to say it happens regularly, but it does happen a little bit more frequently than you would think. What if O'Reilly was traded at the deadline? I don't agree with that. I think he's too critical to this team, and this team would have gone into a full, complete rebuild if he was gone. Because if he leaves, other players would have wanted to lead. He plays such a large leadership role on this squad. He was the most consistent player this entire year on this team. Anyone could bring that up all they want. I don't agree with that. And I'll stand by that. What if Marshall had the same production from last year? I mean, he got better. I don't think he was amazing last year, but again, I think the whole summary of all of these is just that this team was like a few inches off from making the playoffs. And if they had like cleaned up any of these, they would have been better. So I think Marchessault had better production. I think Halla filled that hole pretty well to keep things a little bit more consistent. But if he had better production, yeah, you could argue that this team would be better completely. Well, this team could defend when Saros was net. Oh, you're telling me, man, this team stinks on defense. What if we have a proper defensive core? Oh my God, I can't. You're gonna get me heated here as well. I mean, that, in my opinion, that was the biggest issue the entire year. Just the defense was awful. They were so abysmally bad. And I know I've say this every time, but it's such a good reference point to all of this, and it was the reason why you needed to improve on your center depth, and instead you brought in just big bulky defensemen that can't skate, and you made your defensive core not better but worse, and the whole goal was to make it better. The offseason, the free agency, just I can't with that. That's just, the defense was truly bad, and yeah, they did take off. They did really take off, and ease back when Saros was in that, because there's an expectation that he really was going to do everything. And what if we called up younger talent earlier? That's a big one. Or didn't scratch them every night. That was a really bad mismanagement of talent here. A lot of what ifs. I agree with some of them. I don't agree on some of them as well. I think there's a good mix here for sure. But I mean, the defense is my big thing. Y'all know that. It's just, if it was better at all, I think this team would have had a cleaner chance to do this. Vision 9X again. Congrats to the spoon-fed Kings. I'm playing 4 more games than us. The NHL couldn't have been against us more this season than they already have. So many of these games were close games. We've been in either lost or our own hands, and the refs calling the most ridiculous calls on the ice. I swear some of these refs need to be investigated or checked if they had any sports betting bets installed against us, or because now we miss the playoffs and we draft in the worst possible scenario unless we lose our last game. Okay, and again, this was from April 14th, so this is a little bit earlier. Every other team that's near us passes us. Well, nothing's you're gonna get. I think there's a few officiating questions in here as well, and I will agree. There were a lot of games this year. There were a handful of games this year that it was really bad, and there were some really, really bad missed calls this year. But this is not gonna. Nothing's going to get investigated. I don't think there's any sort of vendetta against the Predators. Yes, it was bad in some games, and it decided some games completely. This team did play tight games this year, but I do think that's less on the refs and more so that this team played such inconsistent hockey the entire year that they started off really bad, and then they would immediately start playing like in the second period or halfway through the second period. So that's more so on the Predators and less on the officials. But I mean, I get it. I get it completely. There were some really bad games here with the refs, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. I think there's another officiating question in here, but no investigation is going to get prompted on that. I understand this is anger and venting completely, but you can only blame so much on the refs. And at the end of the day, like, nothing is going to come out of it. Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it. But I get it, man. I get it. I understand the frustration. Vision 9X again. I can't wait for the draft lottery. Yay. Can't wait for us to get I don't know if I can say that. Decided against, have our backs up against the wall again, like last year, dropping from 3rd overall to 5th overall, including 13th pick. But imagine we go from 11th to like first, like the Islanders last year, and pick McKenna. The Predators do have the exact same odds, but I did do kind of a little looking back on how many times something like that has happened last year with the 3.5% chance to get at the 10 spot. Predators are in the same exact position as the Islanders were last year, but something like that, like jumps like that, have only happened twice. That 10-1 jump, I think, has only happened once, but there was another one. I think it was the Rangers in 2020. They were like in the 8 to like, I think it was 14 range. The NHL's website just didn't have it displayed right, but I think they were at the 8th position and they jumped all the way up to 1st. It can happen. I don't know if it's going to happen 2 years in a row. It's a lottery, and some teams have higher odds get drawn than others. It's a lottery. Anything could happen, but I don't know if a 10th best odds to first best odds, first in winning it, will happen again, but anything can happen. As for the position they are in, I mean, a top 10 pick's not bad, and they could trade up. I think there's another question here later in when we're talking about prospects in the offseason about trading up. I don't think you could trade up to 1 or anything like that, but I mean, there's still good positioning that you have with you technically do have a top 10 pick. I think this team could slide up a little bit. Again, it's a lottery. Yeah, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can't predict what's going to happen. Anything could happen. They can move. They can't move. They could go down a little bit. It's all about how I think the way it's so confusing how they do this. It's all about the way the combinations come out at the end of the day. And yeah, I can't tell you what will happen. What will happen? Hopefully, this team will get a little bit more luck because they've needed it when it's come to the draft. Vision 9X again. That the thing that this franchise has never had before is a true superstar forward. And McKenna is a guy with so much potential for that. And the Preds just say, nah, let's try to make the playoffs, but fail. And now we have like a 0.1% chance of drafting, 3.5 of drafting first overall. Forsberg isn't a superstar; he's a star player. I disagree with you there. He is a superstar player. It's about the team that's around him. I think, and I've said this so many times this year, if you had him on a Colorado, I think he would have been, he would be a superstar player. Or like if you get him on a Carolina or something like that, he'd be a superstar player. It's just the fact that the system he's in this team doesn't amplify offense and has never amplified offense. And he is the starter guy for that. But this offense and high scoring has not been this organization's priority. What I've learned and what I've seen over my entire lifetime, this has been, and I think that's a good part of Barry Trotz getting out, is that now you can kind of mold this in a different way and maybe amplify scoring and all that a little bit more. But I think Forsberg is a star in this league completely. I think if you got him on a team that prioritizes that kind of player a little bit more, he would be a superstar. It's just about the team in front of you. So Steven Stamkos is a superstar too, so he's on the squad as well. But as for McKenna, I have some opinions about it as well too, and just his adjustment like track and his growth pattern, or whatever what you want to call it. That's going to be interesting coming into the league because he had a pretty substantial fall off from the WHL into the NCAA. Yes, he was still very good in the NCAA completely, but he had a pretty substantial fall off from like 128 points in the WHL. So he put up a good number in Penn State, but it was not even remotely close to what he had in the WHL. So, I mean, making that jump, you already struggled from the jump to the WHL to the NCAA. It's going to be even steeper if he decides to go his first year from the NCAA to the NHL. That's going to be an even steeper jump. So, I wouldn't bet on everything just yet and him being a superstar player. It might take a second for him to get going, but I mean, if you want to do comparison to other guys in this league who have come up and been superstars, they've had really strong draft years and had put up those explosive numbers as McKenna did the year before this one and didn't do it this year. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for him before he gets going. So, I mean, if McKenna gets drafted, anything like that, don't expect him to be electric off the bat. Let's go to the next question. Tanner Molendijk Foundation. There ain't any more to say, Jack. There just ain't. It's been an honor watching some of these guys play. If you told 9-year-old me that Steven Stamkos would be on the Predators, I would have laughed in your face, but it's high time to move on from this core. You have to be thinking about Yossi and Forsberg on top of the 2024 free agency class we signed are going to be on the move. Future's bright, but let these guys we watch grow up and go win a ring. That's a good way. I like that. That's a good attitude to have, Tanner Molendijk Foundation, of just, hey, we enjoyed these guys. It's fun to have around here, but it might be the harder pill to swallow in the situation here, but it's time to let them go and, play out a good end of their careers and let them succeed for it as well. Obviously the big part is if they want to leave. I don't know if it's depending on what management wants to dictate. Forsberg is still going to stay here. Steven Stamkos, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. Jonathan Marchessault, so I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves as well. Roman Josi. As much for it as I'd like to see the guy win a Stanley Cup and have that chance to, I don't think he's going to want to leave. And he's been such a staple here and he's been here for his entire career. I think he would want to stay here for a year or two more before he finally makes that decision here. But yeah, the guy deserves to go off and win a Stanley Cup. This is a good attitude to have of, hey, we enjoyed these players. They've given us so much to this organization. They've been so much fun to watch. I've enjoyed them forever. Will enjoy what they've done here. They deserve their opportunity to go play somewhere else and win a Stanley Cup. And this organization deserves the chance to move on and start focusing on the future and building for something what could be bigger 3 to 5 years down the road and be a Stanley Cup down the road and just focusing on it. And I think that just starts with Barry Trotz leaving. Truly. It's just, I think he's elongated just the identity of this team from its conception and elongated a lot of what this team has been forever. And I think there just needs to be new air breathed into this team here. And I hope with the general manager search too, they go for someone that is from the outside and try something different, because you can't be doing the same things here anymore. I think the fans, seemingly you all agree that the same things can't be done here anymore. Something new needs to be tried out. This is no longer a league of 2016, 2017. This is in the 2010s. This is a league that prioritizes speed and scoring and is completely different from what it was 10 years ago. And the Predators seem to be kind of stuck in that 2010 mindset a little bit more. Hey, I love the 2010s. Listen, I had a great time during the 2010s when I was in high school and college, but like anything in life, you have to move on to now, and now is very different. But Tanner Molendijk Foundation, thank you. Always appreciate you. We'll go to the last question here of this segment. This is from the_pilot_0313. What about the officiating against the Sharks? Also, is it time for a new head coach? There's some sort of was it a no, that wasn't the Sharks game, was it? Yeah, it was. I think there was a bad penalty on the game-winning goal. The officiating was really bad in the Sharks and Devils games. At the end of the day, the way my mindset is, you don't want officiating to decide games, whether or not anything should be investigated or anything is. If you're I'm not allowed to say a specific phrase that I've seen a lot on here, so I'm trying to figure out a way to rephrase it here. If there's some sort of advantage, quote unquote, going against your team, or advantage going towards the other team that's decided by officiating, at the end of the day, you don't want games decided by bad calls or missed calls or anything like that. That's the way I look at it. And it ruins games. It ruins fun games. Against the Sharks is the example of it here. The Ducks is just I with that call against the Ducks on Tyson Jost towards the end of it. Nick Keyser explained it to me because I was ready to kind of flip out about it in the press box. He's like, Jost could have had control over his stick when it got knocked up. It seems like he kind of loose wristed it and that could be debated as well, but I get it. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm saying here and trying to wrap up this question as best as I can, you don't want games decided by officiating, missed calls or bad calls or anything like that. It ruins the game. It ruins the competitive sense, and it ruined the Sharks game. It ruined the Devils game. So I mean, in my opinion, when you talk about officiating like that, you just don't want it to impact the flow of the game. If it's a call, it's a call. If it was something that's committed and something bad, call it. If it's not, then if it's a missed call, it's a ghost call. You don't want that impacting the flow of the game because it ruins it. And I don't think it happened enough this season to prompt an investigation or anything like that. But it's annoying and it's sad and it happens. So I mean, it stinks fully, and that's the most I can really say on that completely. And just I'm just not a big fan of blaming the officials and screaming at the officials and stuff like that. I mean, it's an issue throughout every single sport, I'll tell you that. But yes, they're human, they'll miss calls and stuff like that completely. And at the end of the day, it stinks when it dictates outcomes of games, especially very critical ones, especially against the Devils and the Sharks. But we're going to off-season thoughts next and talk about what you guys want to see the Predators do since we're fully in the off-season now. What's going to happen this summer? Who should they sign? Who should they trade? All that more, that's going to be coming up right after the break. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game it can swing a series. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. And here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. All right, into the next section of questions, we're going to be talking about the offseason, and this one will be a little bit shorter here. We got a long one at the end with the prospects. I'll try to roll through that as much as we can because we're really creeping up with time here, but we'll go into another question from the _pilot_0312. Is it time to think about trading Little Juice? He still has high value as a good goalie, but is almost to the point that Big Juice deserves a starting role. We could get a good defenseman and a solid backup goalie for a Little Juice in a trade. This is a good question. I'll lead off with that. This is a really good question. And just because I've heard media members complaining about how bad UC Saros has been in the last few games here. And, you know, rightfully so, opinions are completely fine. And I have my own opinions as well completely. So anybody having any sort of opinion like that's completely fine in general as well. But I've heard, not complaining, I should say, but just like, okay, this is an issue here. And he has been really bad towards the end of the season. Completely. I completely understand with that. Um, the way I see it is he's been so consistent the entire year and he's been so good the entire year. You cannot take those final, say, 10 games he's played towards the end of the season here and just have that be definitive towards the entire season. You got to remember what this guy did back in the early part of the year, the middle part of the year, and parts towards the end here while Justus Onanen was finding his game, while Justus Onanen has shown that he wants to be competitive towards the starting position. That didn't happen towards the end of this year. You have got to put into perspective here what he's done the entire year and how good he's been this entire season. He represented Finland and stood on his head. I do not think that this is warranted to the point of trading him yet. Yes, I understand he's played bad. I don't want to be repeating myself as much, but I understand he's been playing bad here and he was really bad in the final few games here of the season, but I don't think it's time to trade him yet. I think you need to see how he's going to do in the first part of the season, how much Justus Onanen is going to want to compete with him for that starting spot last year. And y'all, you have got to remember, I'm not saying that in any sort of negative way at all, but we got to remember the contract he's on. And if anybody wants to absorb that at all, he is on, I believe it was a 7-year extension after this season. He still has 6 more years on this contract. This is a long, expensive contract. And it goes down to, yes, he's playing bad. We can get this for that, that for this. At the end of the day, it's going to turn into who's going to take that. And if somebody does take that, you bet they're not going to take the full 6 years. The Predators are going to have to take some of that on completely. And how much are the Predators going to want to take on with that as well? That's the big thing about UC Saros. And I think there's just too much right now on the table to consider trading right now. You got to see what you're going to get out of him. You got to see the run you're going to have with him at the beginning of the year next year before you decide, okay, we want to make this massive trade and try to get rid of this guy that we signed to a big contract. It's a mess up on the front office completely and offering him that much money in that length of a contract completely. But I don't think it's just time yet to explore trading him. But thank you for the question. Always love good topics to talk about. This is from Vision 9X again. In and out for me next season in Martin, Fink, Molendyk, and Surin. Second half of the season, second half of the season, if his team doesn't make the playoffs or gets knocked out early, out Halla, Jost, Barron, and Willsby. We're gonna get a lot of Brady Martin questions in the next segment here. I don't know what to think about Brady Martin here, and I really wasn't impressed by his season in the OHL. I really wasn't impressed by his playoffs. I just think I know this is going to be so unpopular, but he needs to develop more. I need to watch him in the preseason, or I need something out of him. The Greyhounds are knocked out of the playoffs here in the OHL. He needs to be playing a higher level of hockey, and you need to either put him on a wing or have him run in Milwaukee a little bit more. I don't think he's NHL ready at all. Or he needs to start at Milwaukee. I think he could come in at one point, but he needs to do some sort of pro hockey that's not the NHL which is the AHL, Jack. Before coming to the NHL, he just doesn't look ready for this yet, in my opinion. And my opinion can be very wrong. It's an opinion. It's not correct or incorrect. It's opinions, what you think. Fink, yeah. I mean, he drew the short straw. I'm trying not, you guys I think could tell the phrase I can't say, and I'm trying to find ways around it. But he got he should have had the chance to play in the final game there, and it was a complete mess up by I don't want to say it's on the Predators or the Admirals. I don't know who it's on. It's a complete mess up in general with the visa work. He needs to be in the regular lineup. Start him out in Milwaukee. No, not even that. Have him compete for a spot in training camp there. See if he gets it. I mean, Zach LaRue got beat out last year, and I think he deserves to be in the lineup for sure. Molendyk, he just needs more done in the in Milwaukee. It depends on who you trade defensive wise. I think he deserves a chance to just see how he's going to do in the preseason here, and then see if he can get a few games up here in Nashville. I think he was pretty decent in Milwaukee in his first year, but I mean, I think in the way of order of bringing guys up to, I don't think Molendyk is very high on that list. So that's another part of it as well. So, I mean, they needed defensemen this year. Even after Ryan Ufko was brought up, they didn't go to Molendyk first. They went to I can't remember the guy they called up from Milwaukee for the final game, but Osterley was here before as well. And they kept calling up is it England? I think they kept calling him up, and he's just I have a lot of opinions about that too, but I think he could have a good year. I think he's poised to have a pretty good year in Milwaukee, and then see how he does and coming up into the Predator system and see if he gets his chance. Completely agree with that. Surin, if his team doesn't make the playoffs or gets knocked out early, Yaroslavl is not missing the playoffs. They're already making a run to possibly repeat his championship, so I don't think they're going to be mixing the playoffs. If they get knocked out early, it's just going to depend on that visa paperwork and the rules of it and such. I'd love to see the guy up here. He's playing really, really great. It'd be great to get him over into North America and see how he does, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the air with him. So I mean, again, would love to see him get in the mix here, but I think it's still very slim that he's going to come to Nashville next season in any situation. Out Holla, I don't agree with you there, man. I think this is a center that still offers a lot. I think he still has debatably 2 more years, really good years here. I think he was a good piece to the center depth. I think this is a guy you need in the bottom 6. You need a vet that's going to give you good minutes and has experience and isn't just running around with their head cut off. I think Holla is a good piece to be offered as well. Jost, I flip a lot here. I think this guy is worth a 2-year, 1-year extension. As the guy on the 4th line, he's kind of proven himself a little late towards the end of the season here. And we can't just take what happened in 1 game or 2 games here to summarize it all. Yes, he was slow to start the year. I think he's kind of earned himself a spot a little bit towards the end of the year here. I know that's a very unpopular opinion I have, but I think this is another vet that you have on the 4th line here that could do very well and has offered and kind of proven himself a little bit more. So I think Jost is worth a year extension. It's not a lot of money. So I think he's worth keeping. Barron, get rid of completely. He should be gone. Willsby, he's been really bad towards the end of the year. I think this is someone you could get a little bit more from the market. So I would agree with trading him as well and seeing what you could get for him on the way out and then seeing who you could bring in or open up a spot for another guy. But yeah, no, good mix of names here. Always love the questions. We'll jump to the next one. That is this one. This is from James T. Bunn from Tennessee. What players in the offseason should the new GM release or trade or demote as backup goalie, especially UC Saros? I know he's good, but UC Sonnen is better. Look at the shutout he had against the Ducks. Okay, so we can't say one game decides somebody's whole season and stuff like that, first off. So I think it's going to be a competitive goaltending battle in training camp. And I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than we've seen in the past few years for sure. So get excited for that. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's getting demoted. I think maybe you'll have a 1A and 1B there instead of a 1 and 2. So, I think it'll be competitive to start the year, and we'll really see who jumps out from there on out. And UC Saros will really need to work for his spot. Trade and release. Barron needs to be gone. Holla, I'd like, but I mean, I understand if they would want to get rid of him and get a little bit more money. And I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, but I like him in general. But I understand if the new team and the new GM would want to get rid of him and try for something more. Willsby, I think you could get something out of as well. Jost is someone that is good on the market too. I think you need to make a move with Marchessault. He just has not been what I think people expected or the team wanted to expect from him here. And I think he might want to go somewhere else as well. So I think it's worth having a conversation about him waiving his clause and seeing where he could possibly end up. But I mean, that's kind of the thoughts I have for that mainly. I think a lot of the movement has already been done, but we'll see in the offseason here. But I think if you ask me one guy that needs to go, it's Justin Barron completely. Just he's bad. And I'm going to leave it at that because last time I went off about this, it didn't end well. So we'll stick it at that there. But we got one more question in this segment here. We'll go to 16. Vision 9X. If I don't see our new GM get rid of that certain D-man next season, fire them without hesitation. It's just a disaster class after disaster class. I agree. And we know who everybody is talking about and what we're talking about. We see each other. We agree. And he needs to be gone completely. But when we come back, we're we're going to kind of have to fire speed this last one here so we don't go too long, but we'll be talking about the prospects here. Y'all have a lot of questions about the prospect, and we'll answer them. I will answer them to the best of my abilities and talk about the future here a little bit, but that will be coming up right after the break. Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everyday Club today and get Locked On Predators with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonpredators.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, we've arrived at the final segment here, and we got a few more questions in the last few segments, but it's okay. We're going to kind of fire speed through all of them as best as I can. Potential line mates, and this is from Vision 9X. Potential line mates for Fink at the start of next season: Evangelista Wood Fink, Kemmel Martin Fink, Stamkos O'Reilly Fink. Evangelista Wood Fink I really like. Because Evangelista needs to step into a veteran role a little bit more and can't just play the passenger a little bit and just he's played with the All-Stars. He's had a really good year completely, but I think he needs to step up and take a leadership role here and show he's more of a veteran and less of a younger new guy. Wood has been really great center. I like this. I really like this first line a lot. Kemmel, Martin, Fink. That line's too green. Martin, I don't think is NHL ready, and Kemmel has just not been good. This majority of the year, and I think it's worth, even with Kemmel answering the last question that I did here in the last segment, he might be worth looking into trading because he just hasn't really blossomed with this team. I think that line's too green. Stamkos, O'Reilly, Fink. I think this could be a good combination at the beginning of the year to work with and get Fink going. I mean, he didn't play his first NHL game. Be good to get him on a line as the young guy playing with two All-Stars, as Evangelista played in as well, as Wood centered. That's a good combination as well. But the Evangelista Wood Fink line, I really like, man. That's a great suggestion there. We'll go to the next question here from Vision 9X. Imagine if the Predators traded for Michael Hague from the Habs and began the rebuild, and then go on to win the lottery and draft McKenna, reuniting McKenna, Hague, and Martin from the World Juniors. One of the best World Juniors first lines of all time. Pure dominance when they step on the ice. I mean, that would be great, honestly. And that's another what if situation. Hague, I think that is Hague. I mean, yeah, just great duo. It would be great to have it together, but this team just did not go down this path and wanting to tank. They wanted to focus on the playoffs and push for now. And they do have a chance of possibly giving Gavin McKenna technically 3.5 is still a chance. It's not 0.0. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice. I mean, they all played really well in World Juniors as well. You would also get McKenna reunited with Aiden Fink at Penn State. This would be a guy that'd be a really good fit here. It could happen. Just not really likely right now, but hey, that's a great suggestion. The World Juniors line is Canada looks really good out there. Got some really great chemistry from McKenna and Martin and Hague as well. But it is what it is. It could happen, but we will see. Well, we'll go on to the next question. Vision 9X. With the rumors that Cameron Reed is going to play at Michigan next season, my expectations for him keep rising. If he has a good year in the NCAA, we could potentially see him on a roster if the season ends. That's a good take. I love that. Yeah, I mean, the flight from the CHL over into the NCAA has been massive. A lot of Preds prospects going that way. A lot of guys just in general going that way because, hey, why wouldn't you? You're playing on a kind of a bigger stage. You're playing with guys that are more NHL ready. They're bigger guys. They're older guys. And you're getting paid for it as well. That's a big part as well. I would not be surprised at all if Cameron Reed went to Michigan. That is the program to be at. He's having a fantastic year in Kitchener. I mean, they're moving on the playoffs here. He's the captain of that team. He just got done playing World Juniors. Cameron Reed's stock is going up right now. So, man, I agree with you here. This is a really good take. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Michigan here, gets a good NCAA season here, could win a national championship, and then make the move around at the end of the season to the Predators here. And we could see a really good sound defenseman coming in. Yeah, I like that a lot. I hope that happens. That would be great to have Cameron Reed coming into the system with a little bit more NHL ready experience here. Vision 9X here. We're running through them right now. With all the second and third round picks we have, the Preds should be more aggressive to move up in the draft and try to get one of McKenna, Stenberg, Reed, Verhoff, and Malhotra instead of drafting in the sloppy middle. It depends on what the new GM does. That's the big thing here. With all the junk picks they have in rounds, I would say 5 and up, they should try to package a little bit more and try maybe to get some guys, trade for some guys just that are going right now. So I mean, they have a lot to work with. It all just depends on what the new GM wants to do. It would be nice if we get a new GM that wants to be a little bit more competitive and not so reserved. And I really don't know how to define Barry Trotz's time here and what he's done here a little bit more in just a short phrasing. But yeah, I think moves are important here, especially in the draft. A second would be worth in trying to jump into the first round a little bit more. You'd really have to give up a lot to get McKenna, maybe trading Steven Stamkos. But that'd be all if he was okay with going there as well. And you'd be trading him to whoever gets that pick. And I can tell you now, if Vancouver ends up with that number 1 overall pick, Steven Stamkos is not going to want to go there. You're going to have to find somebody who is going to want to fork that over with that moving that over, meaning that their contract and waiving their no trade clause. You're going to have to find someone that's going to want to do that. So I mean, and money is going to be the big thing with that. But no, I mean, movement's going to be interesting in this draft, and we'll see if the Predators are going to want to be up to it. From Ohio Preds fan, 23-19, every time someone brings up our talented young prospects, I just have to wonder, how does our prospect pool rank against other teams? Prospect pool's ranked very high, actually. I believe it's in the top 10 in the league right now. Igor Surin is one of the best prospects right now in the league in general. This is a really good group, and it's because you have guys really clicking in the NCAA. You have guys in the CHL who've decided that they've had good careers in the CHL and are moving in the NCAA as well. You have a Milwaukee team that's playing pretty well. This is a prospect pool. I can't give you a specific number right now, but this is a really, really good prospect pool. You have a lot of good happening with the youth and what's behind them and coming up right now with the Predators. It's all about how quick these guys can get going and how well they're going to adjust to the league. But I mean, you have guys like Igor Surin that are playing really well, Riker Lee, like Brady Martin, I think, can grow into something good. But I mean, even looking at Milwaukee, you have Aiden Fink. That's been really good right there. Ryan Ufko that's on the roster now. You have a really good Milwaukee team. You have really good prospects in the NCAA. The prospect pool is so rich, and it is, from what I remember, it is one of the best in the NHL right now. It's just going to take some time before you see the results coming into the NHL and see what they can really do at the top level of the game. But we'll get into the next question here. Vision 9X, and just like that, the draft lottery stayed the same with the Sharks losing and most likely the Blues losing tomorrow. I think they won, so they got the Predators have a bit better odds than the Blues do. At best, we can finish 23rd, but highly doubtful. Great, can't wait to be mediocre for another who knows how long at this point. Like I said, last question. It just depends how fast these prospects are going to bloom and get going. And that, I believe, will take the team to a different angle. And it's just going to depend on what the new GM is going to do. But don't fret. Yeah, there's a lot of good things happening in the future, man. Got a new GM coming in. Potentially might see Andrew Brunette on the way out. I didn't answer that question from earlier. I've talked about that before. I think it'll be a busy offseason, and that could really change the course of things here for sure. But I understand why there's a hesitancy to Vision 9X. If I don't see the new GM get rid of it, we already answered that right now. My bad. Last question then. What I need from Brady Martin. Ooh, I like this. Vision 9X going to wrap us up here. What I need from Brady Martin to do in the offseason for next season to be with the Preds. Rest and recover. Yeah. Gain 10 to 20 pounds of muscle. Yes, I agree with that. Shoot the puck more. Yeah, I think you could say that with anybody. Work on getting faster. Yeah, prove everyone wrong. Yeah, if you're listening to this, I'm pointing at myself. I can't keep dealing with our franchise getting clowned on for passing on Martone or Higgins. That was the other question that I heard about with Martone and Higgins. And I'll say this and we'll wrap it up here because I know we're getting long here. But you can't, with the prospects, and I understand, and I'm not yelling at anyone specifically or calling out anyone at all, but with the prospects, it's drafting. You don't know how these guys are going to end up. You don't know how these guys are going to adjust. Look at Nail Yakupov back in it was like 2012 draft, and he was a bust. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is another guy that you draft number 1 overall, and you think he's going to be a prospect, and he's been a great role player, but I mean, he hasn't been anything explosive. I mean, you could argue that with Aaron Ekblad, who's been a sound defenseman, but we rarely hear about him. I had another Alexis Lafreniere with the Rangers. Invisible. So when we get to this conversation talking about passing on each guy's, it happens. I mean, And again, proving people wrong. I like this question too, just saying what Martin needs to do, because he does need to do a lot. And Higgins is progressing really well. Martone, as we've seen in the playoffs here with the Flyers, looks fantastic. And it does stink that the Predators passed on these guys, but at the end of the day, hindsight's 2020 with these draft picks, and you do not know what they're going to do in the future or not. But yeah, I think Brady Martin has a lot to do in order to earn his spot on the roster here, because it's not going to be given out like charity. I don't think like it was this past season. And that's mean to say, but it kind of was. And just, it's a 5th overall pick, yes, and he gets to make his NHL debut, but like he wasn't really great out there, and you could tell he did need more time back in the CHL or whatever. But I mean, yeah, he needs to do a lot. Like you said, put on weight. You need to tap into your offensive ability a little bit more. You just need to get to an NHL size and speed before you even consider being on this roster full time. Completely agree with that man as well. Maybe it's even worth saying maybe you need to go to the NCAA for a year. Is he eligible to do that? Because he's played with the Preds. I can't get into that right now. But either way, I mean, if he doesn't make this Preds roster, I think he needs to go down to Milwaukee for a bit and see how he does there and figure out stuff from there as well. But prove people wrong, of course. I need to see more out of him completely. I think a lot of people need to see more out of him completely and just show that he is NHL ready, because it doesn't really look like it. But he's still a prospect. He's still very young. The future's still extremely bright for Brady Martin. Just got to work towards stuff completely. Anything in life, you just got to work towards it. But that will do it for today. Thank you guys for listening. At Jack G. Williams on Twitter /X. Hockey News Nashville Predators is where you can find all my stuff. Find us on Twitter at LO_Predators, Facebook and Instagram. We're just Locked On Predators. And hey, that Everyday Club, $5 a month, $50 a year. Ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. Our next episode is going to be about Predators cleanup and locker room and exit interviews and stuff like that. That will be happening today. But that will be featured on Tuesday's episode. We'll get more to that and what these guys and their final words they have for the 2025-2026 season. Grateful for y'all. Appreciative for y'all. Thank you for staying with me for this little longer episode, but it's the mailbag. So we're talking about y'all. We're answering y'all's questions. We're having a great time here. Thankful, grateful, appreciative. Going into the off season here, so you guys enjoy kind of the downtime here a little bit more, and we'll have some pretty easier going episodes here. And just going with the flow. But I will see you guys tomorrow on another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast.